boys are taking over girls' teams and sometimes even their own locker rooms. Ew. Let me know your thoughts because I have a special guest and we're going to let you know ours. Welcome to For the Record. I'm your host, Alex, and today we have a special guest, Maggie Wegner. She is highly qualified to talk about this topic due to her personal experience and the fight that she's fought within this. Now, she's also a dear friend, and I cannot wait for you guys to hear what she has to say. Welcome, Maggie Wegner, to the show. I just did a little intro of you before, but could you just share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I work for XXXY Athletics as their social media manager and graphic designer, and I had recently, about a year ago, been canceled for speaking out about the trans issue in general. So now I work every day with the women's sports issue, and so I feel like I've really got a good understanding of everything going on here in this issue.
And today we are talking about the craziness that is happening at the MLK High School in, I believe, Riverside, California. So if you don't know what's going on, we're actually going to watch a video right now of the girls kind of just explaining a little bit. Now, this controversy didn't even start because there was a trans kid on the team of the girls. It actually started because the girls just wore a simple shirt. So we're actually going to look at that right now, and I would love to hear your thoughts after this, Maggie.
The student on our team wears bracelets that say like trans pride, and I asked him why is he allowed to wear that and why can't we wear ours and express our opinion when he is expressing his opinion. Like, why can't we wear our shirts? So then she just brought up the example of the swastika again. She wouldn't really answer any of my questions. She just kept on bringing up that example. When we wore them to practice, we actually did get a lot of compliments for wearing our shirts from other athletes on the team. And when we did wear them, our athletic director called us over. And then, as Julianne said, we had to remove our shirts. And then we had to put on a different shirt because we weren't allowed to wear this shirt at practice.
What are your initial thoughts on that? Because I'm just like flabbergasted.
I remember when this story first came out and absolutely being flabbergasted. I cannot comprehend how an adult would compare a child wearing a shirt like that, standing up for basic truth, to an event that killed over 6 million people. I mean, you've lost your mind. I think the reason they do that, and we see this all the time, like when they compared Trump to Hitler, it's a fear tactic, and they are trying to make us scared to stand up for the truth, and so many people now are. And I mean, I look back to when I think these girls might be freshmen, one might be a junior or sophomore. They're very young girls. That is incredibly terrifying to have to make a stance like that you know is not going to be publicly popular, but then to have your school take the trans student side when they are very clearly violating Title IX that has now been reworked again after Biden did his whole mess. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's incredibly heartbreaking for these girls.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the things that I took away from it is like these adults are literally bullying these little girls. I mean, yeah, you're right. It's a freshman. Like, she's 14 years old. I heard that one of them didn't even know what a swastika was until that,
crazy.
Which is actually crazy. And it's like, yeah, you're comparing the mass murder of 6 million Jews and supporting that to somebody who's actually just standing up for their simple rights. What's more like being a Nazi at that point?
Absolutely. And I've had a chance to speak to the moms of some of those girls that are standing up, and they are very adamant that they're going to continue standing up for this. They're going to continue fighting, and they're going to win the fight. I mean, even one of the girls that was not shown in this video, I believe she's a freshman, she got up and spoke at the hearing that the school had, and she didn't have like anything pre-written. She was just like, you know what, somebody needs to get up and needs to go talk about this. And she had ran on the cross-country team with the transgender student, and it was the exact same thing happening. And she's saying, you know, why am I working so hard to just get my spot taken by a male? That inevitably males are stronger, faster, and statistically outperform women in sports. It's absurd to keep pushing this idea that men can compete with women and we're going to do the exact same job.
Yeah. Well, you know, this isn't really happening though, right? This is super rare That's what they say, but we can actually see literally right here that this is happening. And this is actually not even the first time that this school has had an incident with a trans, I don't even know what they call it. I call it a trans boy, but I guess it's technically a trans girl, bullying, bullying these actual girls and taking up their spaces. I think it was around a year ago where there was a trans boy and he was using the girls' locker rooms and the girls' restrooms, and he was exposing himself to them. And he was also, there's a literal video that we can put in the description. He was beating them up, and it was at the same high school.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, so do you actually care about protecting girls or protecting your reputation? You're literally giving one single student, or, you know, maybe two, like, you're giving them way too much power. They honestly don't deserve it. That's kind of mean, but I don't care, because you're violating people's rights, and that's just not okay.
It's completely, this girl that you're actually about to show is the one that had ran cross country with him, and it's kind of a similar situation to what Paula Scanlon had talked about, where she had been sexually assaulted and then forced to change in the locker room with Leah Thomas. And no girl wants to just unchange in front of a male in the locker room. That's a place where you're supposed to feel safe. And it's also like a thing where it's like, it's a thing for girls to all go to the bathroom together and talk, and like it's like a bonding experience. You don't want some dude in there running that. Like, it's horrible.
No, it's gross. I actually don't really talk about this a lot, not for any reason, but I did a commercial one day, or like a little ad. I acted in it, and it was when I was 13 years old, so it was like 7 years ago. And one of the lines was like, okay, like when I go into the bathroom, I have to be scared now instead of it being a safe space. And I mean, I know it was kind of starting to rise, the issue, but we weren't really seeing it the way that we're seeing it now. So I remember recording that even when I was 13, and I was like, wow, that's crazy, like that could happen in the future one day. And we're literally here. Like, women we don't deserve to be treated like that for the sake of a guy's feelings. We have rights, absolutely, and we just want to protect that. So, I'm going to play this student's, what she said here, because it's really, honestly, brave, and the adults should be ashamed that a literal child has to be standing up against them like this.
Absolutely.
And then to see the athletic director turn around and tell my teammates that their shirts that say "Save Girls Sports" be compared to a swastika, that is not okay. These girls feel silenced. They felt silenced. And when they finally spoke out and did something to go against it and speak out, not directed towards a single person at all, they were completely stabbed in the back by the person that we were told would support us and be able to help us through this. They said that it was a hate crime, that they were targeting that one person, and that is not the case at all. Taylor and Caitlin are two of the most nice people I've ever met in my life, and to see them having to be told that they're being hateful people is not okay. And it is not okay that I have to be in a position where I'm going to practice and having to see a male in booty shorts and having to see that around me. As a 16-year-old girl, I don't find that as a safe environment.
And she shouldn't. It's so gross. I think I saw, correct me if I'm wrong, in the background of that video, it was an XXXY Athletics, was it a t-shirt or something?
Yes,
is that correct?
There was one in the background, and we didn't realize it at first when the situation happened, and then I'm rewatching the videos, and I'm like, it's our t-shirt in there.
I know, that's so cool. So I actually wanted to ask you a question about that, because this is so relevant to, you know, your platform, what you do, even at your work there. So because you're in this industry and you do a lot of their media, I wanted to ask you, what do you think makes apparel such a powerful way to express your beliefs?
I mean, I think sometimes one of the easiest things, my boss always says this, is wear the truth out loud. And then she says, like, it's so much easier to wear a shirt and then to have the conversation rather than just like going up to someone and like starting to spit out random stuff that you know, or to like bring up some kind of argument. Like if I'm wearing a shirt that says Save Women's Sports, you know, people know where I stand, and they can come up and they can ask me about it. They can talk to me about it. If I'm wearing one of our hats, they can ask me like, oh, I like your hat. Where did you get it? And you can explain, you know, you can have these conversations. It's a lot easier to have, but it's also incredibly high quality apparel. We're not making it at some factory in China. And I think that that's really important because, you know, a lot of huge companies like Nike and Adidas, they're using child labor. They're using really bad, you know, ways to make their clothes. And we're producing high quality clothes that also support a very basic truth. And I think that that's really important in this day and age. And people want something to fight for, and they want high quality product, and they don't want people making products in some other, like in China, and making crappy quality clothes. And so I think that's really important.
Yeah. And it's crazy that literally what started this whole controversy, that started bringing awareness to it, was the simple conversation starter. And the conversation starter was a simple biological fact. It was Save Girls Sports, and then XX does not equal XY on the back. I can't believe that. That's crazy. But, you know,
it's insane.
Yeah, this is what kind of brought everybody's attention to it, is something as simple as apparel. So yeah, it should not be underestimated. You know, like they weren't even going up to the trans student being like, hey, you can't be here. Just simply wearing a shirt. And a lot of kids there, even the boys, are wearing the shirts that they're wearing now in support of them. And so it's a really powerful tool. I want to ask you too, because you kind of got canceled over this whole trans thing. And so you have a lot of experience kind of being hated on and like getting death threats. And so what would you, out of that experience, say to these girls who are in the fight, and not only these specific girls, but others around the country who are dealing with the same thing and not getting the support that these girls might be getting?
I think the most important thing I've learned from this entire process is that it matters what Jesus says about me, not what the world says about me. And
Amen.
Random people that don't know me, they don't know my heart, that are commenting things on the internet simply because I believe in biological reality, those people are so irrelevant. I mean, this isn't going to come off the best way, but 100% of the time when I get a mean comment, I go and I look at their bio, and they are radical trans activists with pronouns in their bio and really weird demonic stuff all over their page. And I'm like, you know what? You can call me a bigot. That's okay. So I think it's just realizing that, you know, when you start to lose an argument, when someone's losing an argument, that's when they come after your appearance. That's when they come after your faith. And they say, go believe in your sky daddy, or your face is ugly. If that's the best response you have to my argument, you've clearly lost it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think these girls should feel really proud of themselves for being so right in an argument like this, because I too understand what they are going through with having the athletic director take the trans student side, because the dean of students at SCAD, whenever I got canceled for the photo shoot that I did, was also saying, you know, there are more than two genders. Your project was inaccurate. And, you know, you just start to learn that even the people in power are sometimes too stupid to understand biological reality. And once you come to that understanding and just rely on biblical truth, I think that it brings you a lot of comfort.
Yeah. I know that one of the girls, I think it was one of their friends, she was being confronted by, it was either one of the teachers or the athletic director, somebody in power at the school that should be knowledgeable about science. She literally told them, she was like, well, I'm just stating a biological fact, and that's taught in your curriculum, so do you have to change your entire curriculum now?
Right.
She's literally right. And apparently the girl just kind of went back to comparing it to a swastika, which is like, okay, so is a biological fact a swastika now? But yeah, what I would say to them too is, it reminds me of when David was going against Goliath, because Goliath was essentially just like one big bully, you know, and he was just a youth, and everybody thought that he couldn't do it and that he couldn't go against them, and there's no way you're gonna beat that giant, like, for real. And so 1 Samuel 17:45 says, then David said to the Philistine, you come to me with a sword, with a spear, and with a javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. So we know that this is a biblical truth that they're defending, and these girls are Christians too, so I'm not just pushing that onto them.
Right.
And it's a biological fact that they're defending too. So I would say, yeah, just keep going with it. If God is for you, then who can be against you? So that is, I mean, I have a lot of respect for these girls because they're so young, and
Me
yeah,
too.
they're facing these big bullies and these adults that are acting like children, and then the children are supposed to be now standing up against the adults who are supposed to protect them and are not. Now, okay, we're going to wrap this up soon, but I want us to talk about one more thing, and it's about, Christians who choose not to engage or, speak out about this stuff in the name of love. I personally have a lot to say about that, but I want to give you a chance to talk about it first, because I know you also have dealt with that. So what do you have to say about that?
First, I completely understand that perspective because I felt that way for a long time. I very much leaned into the loving and tolerant Christian mindset where I was willing to distort the Bible to please my own human desires and beliefs. And so I completely understand that you are trying to make people realize how loving you are, but the truth is going to be the most loving thing in the end of it all. I believe C.S. Lewis talks about this where he's saying that like being an extremist is like never a good thing. So being like really extreme on an issue or being an extreme pacifist is not a good thing. But also like not putting your opinion out there when it needs to be heard is also not a good thing. So you have to learn how to, align with the Bible and properly share your beliefs in a respectful way, but also the truth is going to hurt. If LGBTQ and transgenderism is your entire identity, and I'm sitting here saying, look, you are a trans woman, well, you're a male, that's gonna hurt somebody and it's not gonna feel good. But at the end of the day, it's the truth, and lying to them is very unloving rather than giving them the truth.
Yeah, that's so true. That's like in Ezekiel, where Jesus or God is, same thing, but God the Father is talking to Ezekiel, and he says, "When I say to the wicked, you shall surely die, and you give him no warning nor speak to warn the wicked from his way to save his life, that same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood I will require at your hand. Yet, if you warn the wicked, and he does not turn from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but you have delivered your soul." So the most loving thing is to speak the truth. And it's not quite loving to see an injustice actively happening, and especially, they're like little girls, and you say nothing because in the name of love, I think what is also can sometimes be behind that is they're just afraid. I'm afraid to, say something that might offend people. But again, as you were saying, the most loving thing to do is to tell the truth. And that's loving to all sides. You're loving the people, the oppressor, by saying, hey, this is wrong. I want to warn you, turn from this way. And you're loving the oppressed by defending them too. So.
Right.
That is,
I'm curious.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like a lot of people also don't understand, and I'm curious what your perspective on this is, because a lot of people think it's like, oh, we just want the trophies. Like, we're tired of males taking our trophies. While, yes, that is important because a lot of trophies come with money, they come with scholarships, they come with recognition, that it's not fair for males to take that away from females. But I'm curious, in your experience, like, where you felt like sports have changed and bettered your life, being on a female-only team and doing sports, and why it's so important to have sex-segregated sports.
Yeah, so I have played quite a bit of soccer. So interestingly, I have only played on co-ed teams, and I actually think that this doesn't really go against my point, because I've actually seen the people, well, first of all, you're signing up, that it's, both a boy and a girls team. You're not sharing locker rooms. It's, for fun mainly. But I've seen with my own eyes, boys literally like, boom, like absolutely take down these girls. And I've seen it being done on purpose, honestly, and them not take responsibility. And it's like, okay, wow, if that's happening in a space where, that's going to happen already, how much more is that going to happen in a space where you're supposed to be protected and, like, okay, I'm signing up for an all-female team, these are the people that I feel safe around, that it's a fair playing field, because I'm not going to have to share, I'm not going to have to play a contact sport with a whole man, honestly. And so I think, yes, while the trophies, and the winning it is important, because you're literally signing up for an all-girls thing, and it's not fair for that to be taken away from you by a man. But I think it's more about the safety of the girls and the right to have that environment. I mean, what's the point of having all female sports and all male sports if the lines are now going to be blurred? I mean, just make it co-ed at that point. And, don't lie to people and make them feel like they're signing up for something where they're going to feel safe when you're not actually protecting them.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
Yeah. Well, thank you for asking that, actually. That was a great question.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Maggie. You said a lot of great things. Could you let the viewers know where they could find you if they want to hear more of your story and just see more of your content?
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me on. My Instagram and TikTok are Mags Wegner, and my YouTube channel is the Patchwork Podcast, and that is what I've just recently started.
Sweet. So now you guys know where to find her. Make sure to go and check her out. Maggie, thank you again for coming on. I'll see you soon.
Thanks so much for having me. Of course.
And thank you guys for tuning in to For the Record. I'm your host, Alex. If you're new here, please like, comment, subscribe, and join the discussion. I'll see you next time.